Hi, guys. I trust that you're all well. I want us to revise management accounting. Of course, we'll also cut advanced management accounting. These are key concepts that I want us to revise, of course, in our class today. As you're waiting for the rest to join, I'll just, of course, publish one very important item here, which will enable us to revise. Of course, you're looking at it from our block model paper, the one that, of course, we do have. Remember, all through we've been revising our block revision, or our block model paper is the one that we've been using all through. So today it would be important and very important for us to handle a certain concept that it is very key, and I'll wish us at least to make sure that at least we have this knowledge before exams. This, of course, for students who are doing management accounting, and for students who are doing, of course, advanced management accounting. So what I'm going to do, I'm also attaching, let me attach the link for this class. So for those who will wish to join, probably live class as you continue, they can join on the Zoom, which will be important, whereby if at all you're having any question, of course, you can always turn to ask. Gregory, can see you're saying you're the first one here. That is okay, that's okay, good. So to join this class, revision for management accounting and advanced management accounting, what you are handling is a concept of what? Budgeting, but budgeting in a sense that you can be given in a whole different way, where you're looking at activity-based budgeting. So you can join the class in our Zoom. You can join the Zoom class. I've attached the link there, which you can join the class directly. I'll take not more than 30 minutes of your time. I know now you're like, Mwalimu, want this time to study, on this time to study. Yeah? So you can join the class. I'll share the link there on the comment section. So what I want us to do, these are questions that we have in our block model paper, and it is a very good question. Management accounting, block revision. Of course, this is model paper 2. Remember, we had 2 model papers. We had model paper 2 and model paper 1. So our focus will be on this question here. Question number 2. Check question number 2, specifically part C of the question. It is an interesting area because what you are dealing with at this point, we're looking at a scenario where you're given budgeting, but this budgeting is a whole different case. It's not the one that you are used to, because at this point, what you're expected to cover is activity-based budgeting. So this concept will apply to students who are doing management accounting, intermediate level, and of course, those who are doing advanced management accounting. This concept is very vital, yeah? So we go through this question where we're told that Konzi Limited manufactures and sells 3 products, namely A, B, and C. The budgeted production overheads cost for the financial year ending 30th June 2024 are as follows. We have the activity, we have setup, we have material handling, we have inspection, we have total production overheads. We are told that the budgeted details of the products for the financial year ending 30th June 2024 are as follows. So these are simply, of course, the details that you're given. We're told using activity-based budgeting. Remember, this is the interesting part. I know you guys, you're used to all these other forms of budgeting, like flexible budgeting. I know you're used to the aspect of maybe cash budget. But what if now you're being tested on the concept of activity-based budgeting? How will you go about it? And this is what this question was testing us, the aspect of activity-based budgeting, okay? So the good examiner here has asked us to use activity-based budgeting, ABB, to calculate the total budgeted production overheads for each product. See? So let me take you back, of course, to what we did earlier on in relation to, of course, the activity-based. I'll just be, of course, very fast on this because I know as at the end of the day, Mwalimu had guided us on all these. So I'll try to take you quickly through that concept so that at least we should be having it right, okay? So this is just a very quick reminder on what Mwalimu guided us. Remember, at any given point in time, whenever we are looking at activity-based, yeah, at any given point in time, whenever you're talking about activity-based, okay, at any given point in time, whenever you're about activity-based, of course, there are some specific concepts that you must always tend to have in mind. Number one key element that you should always be having in mind at all times is that this concept will basically deal with two main components, okay? It will be important for you to understand that we are talking about what we are referring to as, number one, activities, okay? And number two element, we're talking about what? Cost drivers. So these are very important factors that you must always tend to have at the back of your mind anytime you're dealing with activity-based. Remember, at this point, you're tested of activity-based budgeting, but Mwalimu also mentioned like the whole idea will always be looking at what? Activity-based costing as well. So in all these scenarios, you should be able to understand that number one, we'll always be talking about the activities and the cost drivers. See? So cost drivers are simply what will lead us to incur a specific cost in relation to the activity-based concept. So at this point, you're not asked of costing the normal one that you're used to. The good examiner is asking us of the activity-based budgeting. But the main elements or the main principle will still stand. The focus will be on the activities that you're having and the cost drivers that you are having. This is one thing that you must always tend to remember at any given point in time whenever we are dealing with what? The concept of activity-based, okay? So after looking at that, of course, then this should take us back to what we are doing now. So look at the question clearly where we need now to determine the activity-based budgeting. So let me do this very fast. I want to use Excel, which will enable us, of course, to work it out very fast. So that at any given point in time, assuming this question is to come, so for those who are doing December sitting, talk about the concept of activity-based. Should it come more so if they asked you of the budget, then you should not struggle because the concept is just the same. Only that you are being tested of what? Only that you are being tested, of course, of the concept of budgeting. So these are what you're doing. I won't share it I won't use my Excel so that you can be quick. Here. Just a moment. My Excel is just loading right now. And you'll find that management accounting, it is one easy concept that if at all you just be open and look at it from a keen perspective as Mwalimu had guided us, things I know will be very, very easy. Yeah, things will be very, very easy. So sharing my Excel here and we work it out very fast. Just sharing my Excel right now. But I know right now, majority of us, we're literally prepared. So you're just waiting for this paper. This is just an additional item that you should be able to understand, right? So the good examiner here in our question, of course, he has guided us. He has given us key elements that will always be required to consider in terms of any time you're working it out. So we're given, of course, 3 products, which it is these 3 products that we need to prepare our budget on. right? So we're given, of course, product A, B, and C. That is what you're going to have here. Product A, B, and C. That is what you're going to use, of course, at this point. That is product A, product B, and product C. As I've told you, like whatever that you're having. So I'll just, of course, take a snapshot here very quickly. We have it in Excel so that you can refer to it as we're working it out. This would be short. There you go. I'm sharing this part in our Excel so that we can work it out as you're referring to the question. So this is LBB. So here is the question. You'll find that the secret with budgeting is just the same, but here you're given a whole different case, right? You're given a whole different case. You're given a whole different case. So that is the unique concepts. These are what you normally tend to, of course, look at, right? So that if you're given, you should say that, oh, I've never seen this, I've never seen this, oh, I've never seen this. You should be equipped. You should be equipped. You should be equipped. So there we go. I've seen the question here in our Excel. So we've identified that whatever that you're having in this case, of course, we are looking at 3 products. That is A, B, and C. Remember, the whole concept of budgeting is we want to do allocation. That is the whole concept of budgeting. And what are these costs that you want to do allocation on? Of course, we want to do allocation on the aspect of cost given, where we're having setup, where we're having material handling, where we're having inspection. See? So these are the areas that you're given based on our question. See? What we've done, we've just taken the exact cost that you're given. So we are given cumulative value. And at this point, what we realize is that, of course, we are given the other items to do with specific items that you need to allocate on. See? So the cost driver, it will be important for you to always identify the cost driver. So how will we go about identifying the cost driver? So to identify the cost driver, number one item that you must always tend to have in mind is that it is a cost driver that will lead us to incur a specific cost. It is a cost driver that will lead us to incur a specific cost. That is what we must always be able, of course, to have in mind. So looking at this question here, our task will be very easy. We'll just take, of course, number one, the first cost driver is the number of setups. But number of setups you're given per batch. So what are we going to do? We take the cost drivers given, which we are going to have. If the number of setups per batch, this is a setup as a cost driver, but you're given per batch, therefore it will be upon us to determine the number of batches that you'll be having. So how do you go about it? Number one, start by looking at your production. Production level, of course, we had 10,000. As I've said, if at all you want to join live, I've just attached a link there on the comment section. You can use it to join the live in the event that you're having any, you want a real-time question and answer. So batch size, we are given that the batch size for these products, this is what you're given. You're given this batch. Product A per batch, we had 100. batch size, product B 200, whereas product C, you're given a batch size of 300. So this is what you take, right? So in addition to that, what else are we given? We have to determine then the number of batches. See, we have to determine the number of batches. So how do you determine the number of batches? This will be easy. We just take, of course, our figure there, divide by the batches that you're given, so that in this case, it will give us the number of batches for each product that you're having. See, that will give us the number of batches for each product that you're having. That will be your first step. That will be our first step given our question here. Given our question. That will be your first case. So looking at it, the next item to do then is to determine what are the number of setups then. So number of setups here per batch, number of setup per batch as per what you are given by our examiner. We are given for product A, we had 2. Yeah. Product B, we had 3. Whereas product C, we had 6. So, my good students, the question would be, can we then determine the number of setups? Can we then determine the number of setups? Now we can determine the number of setups, right? If the number of batches is 100, a number of setup per batch is 2. So therefore, what will be our total number of setups? 100 by 2. For product B, 80 by 3. For product C, 60 by 6. This will give us the number of setups, the first thing that we need to identify. Meaning that on this cost driver, what will be your total? What will be your total value? On this cost driver, you can see that the total therefore will be summation of the 3 to give us 800. So that will be your first cost driver to identify. That will be your first cost driver to identify. The next cost driver, we can see you are given the number of material movements. See? So this is what you are taking here. Number of material movements. Number of material movement. Okay. If at all you are interested in this model paper, the one that you're doing, either you can join on the class using the link that I've shared, or simply you can just request on our number 0708-068-851. Okay. So number of material movements, you're given 16,530, 2938, and we have 17,632. So this is what you're determining. This is what you're looking at. So determine the total. These are this is the second cost driver. Okay. For those who are joining, remember what you are dealing with. We are looking at our model paper, and the concept is activity-based budgeting. That is what you are considering for those who are joining us. Okay. The number of inspection, this is another cost driver. Number of inspection here. So looking at the number of inspection, a good examiner has given us 1188. We are given 1782. We are given the other value here, which is 2430. So the total, this should give us what? The total, I should be having 5,400. So that is what you are talking about. After that case, my good students, that is the most important item that you must always consider. Whether you're dealing with activity-based costing or whether you're dealing with, of course, activity-based budgeting. That is one most important item that you must always tend to consider. That's one most important item that you must always tend to consider. So once we have that in mind, the next item to consider, of course, would be For us to look at what? For us now to allocate these costs. What are we allocating? We want to allocate setup costs. We want to allocate our setup cost. How will we allocate the setup cost? Setup cost, the total value we are given is 448. Total value is 448,000. We want to allocate that setup cost to product A, product B, and product C. That is one way that you can work it out. Or simply, you can take product A. This is what you can do. You can as well take the other case whereby you start, of course, with each and every item, like the costs and the product itself. But this time around, because you had already prepared this, let us do for each. Product A, setup. What is the best cost driver for setup? The best cost driver for setup, what we've seen here, is the number of setup. So how will we allocate of the total cost? How much are we going to allocate for product A? So we are going to take, of course, the portion of product A, which is 200, divide by the total, that will give us the proportion, times the total cost, which is 448,000. So that the other item for product B, I'll be having 240 of 800 times 448,000. For product C, I'll be having 360 of 800 times 448,000. See? So this is what we are looking at. So that as at the end of the day, what will we be having here? As at the end of the day, of course, I'll just do equal sign at that point. The other item, of course, to consider to give us a proportion of the setup cost of B. The third item, product C, I just do the same concept here. So that as at the end of the day, this will be the value that you're going to allocate for our products, our budget. So of course, we take the value at that point, and all we want to do is to simply allocate to each product here. See? After we are done with that case, the other task will be for us to allocate the material handling. So you come to material handling. Material handling cost. Similar concept will apply, my good students, where what do we want to allocate? We want to allocate 193,600. That's what you're doing. Similar concept will apply. I'll just take the same products, A, B, C. What you are doing is to look at the cost driver relating to material handling. Of course, the best cost driver that will fit here is the number of material movements. What was allocated to A? A, we had now, I'll just do it now directly, or because the flow will just be the same. So for A, we are going to take 16,530. We divide by, of course, the total there, times the cost that you want to apportion, which is what? Which is this one. So that will give us 58,080. The same case for product B, we take the proportion, which is 20, of the total here, which is that. What do you want to allocate? We are allocating it from 193. Similar with product C, I'll take 17 of the total here times our value, which is that. Okay? So that as at the end of the day, my good students, similar concept will apply in this context, whereby I'll now take our value, I give it what? I allocate it to our products. The same case for inspection, similar concept. You don't need to struggle. You don't need to struggle. So you go to the last component, of course, that you need to allocate. It is inspection. So how will you go about inspection? inspection, of course, we are going to talk about the products given here and identify the cost driver, which is now number of inspection. So we take the proportion of product A, 1188 of the total, times the cost of inspection, which I'll just be having it at this point. So that the cost we're having 308,800, right? Similar concept will apply to product B. We take 1782, divide by that. We want to multiply, of course, of the same. We do for the last product, which is C, of the total, times, of course, the value here. See? So whatever that we've done, we've simply allocated this cost to the specific product. So that as at the end of the day, you're going to have it here. See? So for confirmation, you can have your total value, of course, where if you sum up this cost, should give us the exact overheads that you're given here. See? The exact overheads that you're given here. That is, if at all you're summing up what the cost for each item. So that as at the end of the day, our budget would be as follows. This is how our budget will look like. Activity-based budgeting. See? After allocating, it will take us back to the values that we had. See? It will take us back to the value that you're given, 950, 400. So it is taking us back there. So what we have prepared simply here is a very unique budget that probably I know majority of you are like, Mwalimu, is this thing in MA? Yes, it is in management accounting. This is in management accounting. So this is activity-based budgeting. This is activity-based budgeting. So that is what, of course, Mwalimu wanted to at least guide us, so that anytime you see the concept of activity-based budgeting, you can always relate it to activity-based costing, because they share the same principle. The only difference will be this time round, we are looking at it on a whole different perspective. We are looking at it on a whole different perspective. Because if at all you can check the same model paper, the same model paper for ours, it has another element of what? There's a question that we are being tested of activity-based costing. You see, question number 3, it was testing us on the concept of activity-based costing now. Whatever that we've done, we've handled activity-based budgeting. Part 3 of the question, you are being tested of activity-based budgeting, which we've done in our revisions, So that is important for us to note, and make sure that as you are going through this case, I'm advising us that those doing advanced management accounting, those doing management accounting intermediate, this concept is very important. Yeah, this concept, I can assure you, is very, very important. So make sure that at least you are good on that. So that, make sure that you're good on that. I made sure that I won't take much of your time. That is what I wanted to guide you in this class today. I believe you've learned something, 1 or 2. So make sure that you've gone through it. In the event that you need this model paper, don't worry. Majority of you, of course, you've contacted us and we've shared this model paper with you guys. So if at all you want this model paper, don't hesitate. You can just reach us out on the number 0708 068 851. By now, you know all of us, we should be having Ibdarasa's number, right? So make sure you link up so that you can share the model paper. At that point, take time as you're doing your revision, be smart, and everything will be okay, right? So at that point, thank you so much, guys, and wish you all the best. Bye-bye. See you next.